Arch Manning is not really all that public out there. He's not tweeting "come to Texas" and stuff. But I got to imagine Arch Manning knows how to text and probably knows how to pick up the phone. And if you're a 5-star or 4-star recruit out there and you see Arch Manning on your caller ID, you're taking that call. You may not go, but you're at least going to listen because Arch Manning is the most famous recruit of all time by a lot. Like that was celebrity style traffic that we did at the end of last week on the search engine stuff, not just regular, hey, 5-star recruit style traffic. For Arch Manning to turn down Bama and Georgia, that's a hell of a recruiting pitch that he has in and of itself. And last year they signed one of the best offensive line classes by ratings in history. This year they picked up 3 more highly rated offensive linemen on Sunday alone. So a great start there. Not at all surprised by the other silent commits they have. And I would expect Texas to contend for the number 1 overall class now that they have Arch.
By the way, speaking to the fame of Arch Manning, did you see the list of most liked tweets, posts on announcements where they're going? So Arch Manning's tweet is up to 230,000 likes. Do you got any guesses the second most and how far behind it is?
For a commitment, or like what the number is?
Yeah, commitment. Yeah, the first tweet announcing a commitment.
Justin Fields to Georgia.
So Justin Fields, I'm looking back, did not make the top 20.
Oh,
but
he was not famous
a little early. I
time.
think it's really evolved with it. So I'll give it to you. I don't want to waste time. Travis Hunter announcing to Jackson State was 38,000 likes. Quinn Ewers, the first time around to Ohio State, was 18,000. Then when he announced to transfer to Texas, he was 26,400. But Arch Manning's 230,000 is almost, I haven't done the math, but like rough math, I'm looking at it. It's almost the other 19 combined don't add up to the 230. It is a phenomenon unlike anything we've seen. But back to the original question about the surprise of the commitments right after, not at all. I mean, and this kind of happens in recruiting, and it's sort of, if you weren't Arch Manning and you weren't trying to do that, like what's the purpose of even, of being a quarter? Like that's what you're supposed to do now. Now that you've made up your mind, now it's be the Pied Piper. This is why you want a leader. This is why you want somebody that the other players are going to gravitate towards. And I think it's easier now more than it ever has been. Like I used to talk to guys on recruiting visits, official visits, and if I was going to one, like if I was leaning a certain way, I might be at a different school and being like, hey man, this place is good, but you really need to think about Florida State, or trying to almost recruit those players away to come join you. Like that's one of the big reasons why I think you want a guy like Arch Manning, because of the job he's going to do recruiting for you, which is a massive advantage.
Yeah, there's no surprise to any of this. Like players want to play with other good players, and with Arch Manning, just the name, like you were saying, but the celebrity kind of status of Arch Manning, it just adds another layer to it. So of course, other highly rated players are like, well, I want to go play for the team that's going to have Arch Manning at quarterback because we're probably going to win. And I think that Arch Manning is obviously the clear-cut number one kind of star there, but like you're talking about, they had a huge offensive line class last year. They're getting another offensive line class this year. We know they have talent on defense. We know they have talent in receiver. You're starting to see something at Texas with the kind of not just the level of talent, but the robustness and the spread of the talent all over, where it's like, okay, maybe we're finally getting to the part where once Texas is playing football, it'll actually be playing well. But I'm still, kind of hanging back because we've seen plenty of really good Texas recruiting classes never really amount to much on the field. So I would be optimistic if I'm a Longhorns fan, but I wouldn't be sitting here thinking, all right, we're definitely going to win a national title now.
There's obviously quality in some of these commitments that they're pulling together. That's why they're rising in the 24/7 Sports composite. But if you were to look at those, the 6 after Arch, where do you see players that could end up being real game changers? Which of those names kind of sticks out to you? Because we've got such a flood that it just seems like I'm only taking it as a big group, and that's the headline. How many of these names do you think are ones where you're like, oh, wow, either based on who they were competing against or based on the caliber of the player himself?
Yeah, so I think you have to start looking at the offensive lineman, right? Jaden Chapman is a really athletic interior lineman, 6'4", 300, like not 340. He's just a solid 300, which used to be huge in high school and now is just kind of more standard now. Receiver Jonah Wilson, I've not seen in person, so I don't want to just comment on him. But Connor Stroh, guys, is enormous. I mean, 6'6.5", 345. So they'll probably want to slim him down a little bit, maybe unlock a little bit extra quickness. But if you're going to go around him, you got to go pretty wide because that's a big old dude right there. And then Trevor Goolsbee's a guy. I watched him last night when he committed because I didn't know much about him. I thought he was a pretty athletic guy, 6'6", 280. Clearly, Texas thinks they can put a little weight on him, maybe have him be one of their more athletic tackles. I think you got to look at the offensive lineman there. They also got Andre Kohei, who I've not had a chance to watch yet, but he's enormous, 6'6", 330. They're doing some things. They also got Will Randall, the tight end, who is Manning's teammate at Isdor Newman. If you guys watch the highlights he has, the guy he's throwing the ball to most of the time is that big old tight end. That's the tight end they got a couple days before.